Doing this. We are here. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
We made it.
Hello.
We made it. We made it,
We
Robin.
we did it. We did it, Jamie. Fresh
Ay, ay,
fresh
ay.
in the middle of and just off of vacation. We did it.
In the middle. In the middle. I have a bunch of candy next to me because we had to bribe my kids to get out the door so I could do this. I mean, it's like a whole thing. But
Win win win. Okay.
what
Wait.
happened with you?
Wait.
What?
It's the show that nobody asked for, the only reason that we shower. If these ovaries could talk is live right now.
It's live. Here we are. Right
It's
now.
live. We're back. We are
We are
here.
back.
Jamie,
We're
you're on
here.
vacation. I'm just back from vacation. Where are you?
I'm in South Carolina. I'm in Foley Beach, South Carolina right now. Random. And I feel like you have to say that with a Southern accent. That's what I feel.
Bless her heart.
Bless
Don't
your
do that.
heart. I have
Don't
said
do
it.
that.
So many people have said that to me this week. Bless your heart. Where are you from?
That's so do you know though that bless your heart is supposed to be like the true meaning of bless your heart is like GFY.
Yeah. No, but people say it in a nice way. Oh, bless your heart. Look at you. Bless your heart. And it's so funny. I can't help myself but put a Southern accent. I cannot stop myself.
It's for the best.
We just have some waters over here. Like I cannot stop. No, thanks. We're all right. Thank you.
You're that person, Jamie. You're that person that goes to London and comes back with a fake accent. Don't be that person.
I'm like Madonna. Don't do that in that respect. I just put it on. I am in South Carolina. I have never been to South Carolina. Well, maybe I have on tour. I don't remember, but we just got to this little beach town. We just got this little beach house.
Okay.
And it is the epitome of a little beach house. It is.
So this is a spur of the moment winter break vacation?
No, we knew we were coming.
Okay.
No, we came here to visit Anne's brother who just moved here from Florida.
Okay.
He has a home, but we knew we were going to take a little side trip, so we just got to our side trip, which is right on the beach.
Oh my God. So we did the opposite. I just got back from Vermont for 3 days of skiing. It was my face was like frozen tundra falling off and like 3 solid days of skiing. But my favorite part was, it got to the point where my son was like boarding and he took off by himself and was like on a chairlift and going off by himself, had his phone and would text me to check in. But the second day, my daughter took an all day lesson. And the next morning I said, do you think we could, leave you on this little magic carpet bunny hill? You feel Yeah, totally. You want me to stay and watch you do one? Yeah, that would be nice. So I'm standing at the end of the hill and I see her coming and there's no one on the hill because it's just open. And it's, when I say hill, I mean the slightest, it's like the slightest of grade. And she's coming and I'm like, she's not turning or anything. She's just kind of going straight. And I said, you got to turn. You got to turn. You got to turn. You're not turning. And now she's past me and she flew into a barrier and then through the barrier and then out onto the parking lot. Oh. And I was just like,
oh no.
She's totally fine. She's totally fine. She was like, is there anything on my back? And I was just a little scratch. I was like, oh my God. And so then I turned to Henry and I was like, I can't, because I was supposed to leave and go with him. And I said, I can't go with you. I can't. I have to stay with her. Yeah, I have to stay with her now. And he was pissed. But it ended up being a really good thing because the friends that we were with, the one friend, her son, who's his age, they went off together and he was like, I think you could do this mountain, this harder mountain. And he was like killing it, doing like advanced blues, just like, and I never would have let him get on that trail. So it ended up being for the best. And I worked with her all day, but just right through the barrier.
No,
right through it.
I'm not into the skiing. I don't do the skiing. Did Mary ski? No.
She had to work. She stayed back in the room and she worked. And then we did happy hours.
Okay. Well, I mean, my kids haven't fallen on a mountain, but my son has fallen off like 4 bar stools.
Oh, that's right. Attaboy.
Because there's so much outdoor seating here and it's all bar stools. I'm not saying we're going to bars with my kids. I'm just saying it's all bar stools. Because did I tell you we brought our dog? We brought the dog.
The insane.
And it was crazy, but we have the dog here. She's here.
Well, I will say
glutton for punishment. Oh my God.
I will say that I hope to keep my brain less foggy because I have turned into my father. I woke up at 4:30 and I was like, well, I don't think I can sleep anymore. I had the family out. We were in the car by 5:15 on the road.
You are so
because I was like, you could sleep in the car. Let's go. I was like, we're packed. So
my God.
we were in the car. We were in the car at 5:30 and home by noon.
And Mary was okay with this?
Oh yeah. She's like, I'm up. She's like, but I'm tired. And I said, that's fine. You can sleep the first half. So she went to sleep. I listened to an audiobook and then we got home. It was great.
Oh my God.
Home by noon. The way
you and I could never be married. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work
for
out.
So many reasons, Jamie.
Not work out.
For so many reasons. On that note, on that note, it's time to bring in. We have a guest, and we are so excited. Let's bring in Courtney.
Courtney,
hi
Courtney.
Hi, Robin and Jamie.
It is Welcome. So nice to have you here.
It is so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
Have you ever gone skiing and flown through the barrier? Has that ever happened to you?
No, but close. I have only been skiing twice. One when I was like a kid, and then another as like an adult. And the second time was just kind of enough for me to know that skiing isn't for me.
It's not for you.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone.
Not for me. It's not for me at all. And I know my limitations.
It's good to have boundaries.
Yes, I don't have good enough health insurance to take skiing.
I don't know if I do either, by the way, but we're doing it anyway.
Oh my God. But okay, so Courtney, we have to let everybody know who you are. So we're going to start it off with our 30-second elevator pitch. Have we?
Oh,
we
gosh.
Well, it doesn't have to be 30 seconds. You can just tell us who you are, for God's sakes. Don't put her on the spot. We didn't tell her that.
I mean, I should have like a tight 30-second elevator pitch. But here it is. My name is Courtney. I am the co-founder and the chief product officer at Dulune. And Dulune is a menstrual health company. And we are here to end menstrual suffering. So we make natural supplements for period symptom relief. We have products for cramps and for PMS. And kind of our vision for the world is that we can help folks see the menstrual cycle the way that we see it, which is as a strength, actually, and not a burden. So that's why we exist.
I need help with that, Courtney.
I think you might also exist to fix Jamie. I think you might also exist for that reason, but we're not sure yet. Not yet.
Yes. So I cut out for a second there. So I don't know if you explained why it started. Why did Dulune start?
Sure. Yeah. Well, Dulune was, we were founded out of necessity, really. It all started with my co-founder, Mimi. Mimi is, Dulune's original founder. Mimi and I met at university, and for as long as I have known her, she has always gotten just like terrible, debilitating cramps where it just like miss school and work, call the whole day off. It was just kind of a non-starter for her. And like millions of other people with a uterus, she would just kind of resort to over-the-counter painkillers to just kind of survive the week of her period. And so, it was, she was at school, and it was a, kind of a tough week academically. She had her period, she's powering through, she's taken all these painkillers, and she actually passes out in the middle of campus. Not because of the cramps, although they were wicked. She actually passed out because of a reaction that she had to the painkiller medication she was taking to treat the cramps.
Whoa.
And so when she kind of landed herself in the campus hospital and came to, and the nurse gave her this news that this is from her painkillers, she just felt like so desperate and like rock in a hard place situation where it's like, well, I can't win. Like, I'm either going to endure this like terrible period pain or take stuff that makes me feel worse in other ways. So that's kind of where Dulune was born. And we started with a product for cramps. As I mentioned to you before the show, it used to be kind of this liquid product. That was our first kind of rendition of it and how we got started when Dulune was a baby. And now we have a way more powerful version of a similar formula of that product, along with a complementary product for PMS. So the idea is, these products definitely work best when taken together, so that you kind of just get an overall better picture of menstrual and hormonal health.
Yeah. Well, I've been taking what is the supplement?
Steady Mood. So it's a daily multivitamin. So you take it every day, not just during your period.
And what's different about it than a regular multivitamin?
Great question. So a regular multivitamin will just kind of have, kind of one of every, major nutrient, right? At right around like 100% of the daily value, which is just kind of minimum what you need for like daily health maintenance. Steady Mood is a very curated blend of 8 specific ingredients that are what the science says are the most safest and effective ways to relieve PMS. So my role on our team is to design and formulate our products and coordinate all the manufacturing, and then I do product education about periods more generally. But so in my role as product formulator, I'm just kind of digging through all this scientific minutia and making a way too elaborate spreadsheet about all of these studies and how they're designed and how big they are and what exactly they're measuring, what their active ingredient is, how much of it they're using, if any side effects were reported, that kind of thing. So then we arrive at this blend, and it is vitamins, minerals, and herbs. And it's just kind of, these are a collection of all of the natural things with the best evidence for PMS, in as closest dose as I could get to the, what was used in the study. Hey.
That's my son.
And they're all kind of targeting PMS in a different way. So yeah, that's the product.
So, by the way, we just have to say shout out to all working moms whose kids come in the middle of a live stream and then fall to the ground in absolute humility. So you're with me. I'm with you. I don't know if you heard him go, "Oh my God," and then slide out of the room.
Okay. Oh my God.
So poor guy.
Continue on your way.
Okay. Well, I've been taking the Steady Mood for a full month. And then I just told Courtney before we went live that I forgot my cramp. I've been so excited to use this Cramp Aid because, as our listeners know, I suffer from debilitating cramps. I talk about it all the time. I've been dying to try it, but I traveled without the Cramp Aid and I ended up getting my friend while I was here. So I suffered through these cramps again and I was very mad at myself that I forgot it, and I'm going to use it next month, and I'm very excited for it.
Yes, I'm very, very excited for you. And Cramp Aid is different from Steady Mood and special in another way, in that you only take it during your period when you are actively cramping. So, as I mentioned, our origin story involves this like painkiller reaction. So the idea is that Cramp Aid can just kind of be an easy swap for painkillers that you might already be taking to manage your pain, and that it works really fast. And we love that about it.
Good. Well, what's the funny thing? I have gone to many doctors about these cramps, and my cramps, they come like 7 to 10 days before my period actually comes. So they come in rolling waves, like 7 to 10 days before. That's how I know it's on its way. But they come whenever they want. So I need something that's quick, fast acting that I can take on a minute's notice, because they'll last 15 minutes and then they go away and then they come back. So it's got to be something that takes over quickly. And this last doctor I went to, they did this whole exam and they decided you must have endometriosis, but there's no way to really know that unless you do like some really invasive testing. So they're just guessing. And then they gave me these Valiums to insert up my hoo-ha.
Oh, wow.
They did.
That seems really like, how are you supposed to function throughout your day if you're on Valium?
Well, I'll tell you what, it didn't do a GD thing. Nothing. It didn't help.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
except start a prescription pill addiction. Other than that,
no, but it goes in my hoo-ha. It's not like I felt the effects. Nothing.
It doesn't matter where you put it. You're still putting it into your system.
I felt no effects, and I just stopped taking it because I don't want to take Valium. Also, I don't want it in my hoo-ha. So, so I, products like yours are things that I'm like, okay, yeah, let me try that. I'll try anything because I'm in pain and I don't want to take 5 ibuprofen every time my cramps kick in because that doesn't work either.
No, yeah, I hear you. Actually, according to research, 1 in 5 people who have periods are completely resistant to ibuprofen and all like NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. That's
they don't work.
The class that ibuprofen is in.
Wow.
They're resistant to all of them, so they kind of have to use an alternative form of pain relief as a default.
I wonder.
You mentioned something. I mean, we talk a lot about fertility on the podcast because we talk about, LGBTQ folks like on their path to parenthood. And you mentioned something that I think we haven't talked about, which seems intuitive now that you mention it, but I hadn't heard before, but that there can be a connection to trouble with fertility and your period. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Gosh, there feels like there's so much to say about this topic. I could probably talk about it all day, but basically the gist is that, when it comes to the menstrual cycle, right, we think of like the period as the main event and that it's the part you can like see and feel and it gets the most buzz and whatever.
Right.
But actually, the main event of your menstrual cycle is not your period. It is ovulation.
Yes.
Which happens 2 weeks before your period starts. It is the release of an egg from one of your ovaries. And your period is, in fact, a product of healthy ovulation. Right. So basically, everything that has to do with your period, from the cramps to the PMS to the blood, is just your body's response to ovulation. Because what happens during ovulation is you release this egg, but what happens immediately after you release this egg is that you start pumping out hormones that are preparing your body for a potential pregnancy. And those hormones do, in addition to acting on all sorts of different parts of the bodies in different ways to, make it a hospitable environment for a fertilized egg to, grow up and develop. It's also doing a number of things that have like benefits beyond just in the context of pregnancy. So one of the major reasons why it is so great to focus on ovulation and to kind of support your body through that and to optimize your ovulation process, even if you're not even thinking about pregnancy at all, is that progesterone, the hormone that's made after ovulation, is just simply like a damn good hormone for health. It's just a great hormone to have around. So everything that is maybe less pleasant about your period is really just your body responding to the drop in progesterone that happens right before your period, because you're ovulating. As soon as you ovulate, you start making progesterone because your body's like, oh, I might get pregnant, let me pump it with hormones to make it good for this potential pregnancy. If your egg dies without being fertilized, your hormones get word and then they're like, well, you guys don't need me anymore, I'm going to stop production. So estrogen progesterone production shuts off. And you have receptors all throughout your body that kind of communicate with your hormones to produce some kind of response. They're kind of like, little landing pads that your hormones bind to and talk to the rest of your cells. And, when those receptors don't have the hormone to talk to anymore, they get really sensitive to the fact that they're not there. And they kind of miss not having the hormones around, which leads to all these different symptoms. And you have these receptors all around your body. They're in your brain, they're in your digestive tract, they're in your muscles. So that's why PMS is like a full mood, brain, and body phenomena, right? Like there's a mental, emotional, cognitive component to it, and there's definitely a physical component to it with symptoms like, bloating and muscle aches and crazy period poops. And
all of it. Bloating a week before, it's crazy. I can't. My workouts hurt me a week before my period. And then everything just releases once the period comes. It just all goes away. For me personally, everybody's different. But finding relief for many people with uteruses, I think, is something that's really important. And there's just not enough research done for our bodies. There's just not.
And there's not enough options out there for this problem. And, you know, that was another huge impetus for starting our company, is just that they're like, you know, we don't inherently hate painkillers. We think that they're important drugs with a place in the world, but it also kind of infuriates us that that it's pretty much just this one option, and, you know, heating pads, for this cramp problem, which is so pervasive. Like, not only is it, you know, potentially super debilitating, like 30% of women get period cramps that are on a 8 to 10 level on a 10-point pain scale, 10 being the worst pain imaginable. So they're potentially really severe, and they happen to almost everybody who gets a period. Like 95% of menstruating people experience period cramps at some point. So it just like, it kind of blows our mind that there hasn't been a good, safe, effective solution sooner.
No, I've always felt like every time I go to the doctor and complain about my pain, it's just, yeah,
that's how it is.
That's the way, that's how it goes.
I know. And that also makes my blood boil, because I hear so much complacency around this particular type of pain, because it's, you know, because it happens so often, and to so many people, and because it is the result of, you know, the menstrual cycle, which is a quote unquote normal biological process. Period pain itself isn't normal in the sense that it's supposed to happen to you. It's only normal in the sense that it's incredibly common. But I think that, you know, because of this, like, it's almost a linguistic issue, in that normal in English kind of has these two meanings. When we normalize pain, then we just kind of accept it as, you know, our cross to bear for having a uterus, which is, you know, probably exactly what the patriarchy wants us to think, right? Like, what a great way to hold women back. Just put them in pain every month, and then, you know, tell them that there's nothing they could do about it.
Nothing. There's nothing. I mean, it's just insane. It's just, it feels like I've had contractions, and my cramps feel like contractions, and that's not fun every month, you know. So not to be up in the soapbox here, but like companies like yours give folks like me hope, honestly. So I am excited to try all your stuff. Robin, do you experience cramps?
Not really. Sorry to say. I mean, like, maybe every 6 months, maybe like I get a period that's like, oh, I got cramps for a couple hours. Like, it's just not, it's just kind of not. I've always had it very easy in this area. So apologies. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Sorry.
You're abnormal. Don't apologize for being abnormal.
I'm happy to be abnormal in this case.
Well,
I'll take it all day long.
I also think that cycles like yours are important to use as inspiration, because it also blows my mind how many people think that having an easy period isn't even something that's possible. When it is so very possible.
Well, can I ask you a question? Are you saying that, like, having a period that's like more like Jamie's, less like mine, means something is wrong? Is that connected to her infertility? Or are you saying that we should be treating it like in a way that's holistically versus just saying it's your cross to bear, you know, because I don't want to put words in your mouth. So I'm curious about that.
That's a good question. Well, let me back up and talk about what even causes cramps in the first place, because it's kind of both answers. So like I said, everything to do with your period is kind of triggered by this drop in hormone levels, right? So progesterone, estrogen, they're falling off right before it's time for your period. And that drop in hormone levels triggers the production of these little chemical messenger guys called prostaglandins. And they accumulate in your uterus. And they're there for a good reason. And that is to help your period start. So what they do is they cause inflammation, which sounds bad. And it is. But some degree of inflammation is just, it's necessary to detach the uterine lining, because, you know, while your body was preparing for pregnancy, it was growing this nice thick uterine lining for a potential egg to kind of nestle up in. When it realizes it's not pregnant, they're like, let's get rid of this lining. So you need some prostaglandins to purposely inflame the inside of the uterus so that it can kind of what happens is that exactly, yeah. So the prostaglandins trigger the muscles in the uterus to contract or tighten up, and then so that when they kind of like jerk and freak out, it kind of just like, you know, boots off this lining.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't make any prostaglandins, that wouldn't be good. The problem and why periods are so painful is because we tend to overproduce prostaglandins. We make way too many than we actually need just to kind of set our period in motion. And what happens when we make too many prostaglandins is that they cause the uterine muscles to contract too tightly. And now remember that your uterus is like mostly muscle, right? It is capable of some serious contractions, as you guys know from childbirth. That's
Lord have mercy, we know.
Yeah, so when you overproduce prostaglandins, it's making these uterine muscles contract way too tightly. They actually can contract so tightly that they pinch off the blood vessels that supply the uterus with blood and oxygen.
Oh.
So the part of your period that is actually painful and like what the physical feeling of the cramp is actually the muscles in your uterus not having oxygen.
That sounds totally right. I don't know. I feel like my uterus is suffocating when I'm having.
Yes, that is a perfect way to put it. That is basically.
I'm laughing at you because if you had said it didn't sound right, would she shut down her company?
Yeah, right. She doesn't care what I have to say. But, and it's only
I'm actually basing it on science. But thank you for your thoughts.
No, but you know what's funny? Just to back up your science, the last doctor I went to who did all this, did this whole crazy exam on me. That's exactly what they said. They said your uterine muscles are just too tight. They're too wound up, and we need to work really hard to relax them. They wanted to give me all these injections. They wanted me to use the Valium up my hoo-ha. There was like this whole process that was going to happen, but I couldn't afford it because my insurance wouldn't cover it. So,
yes. Well, speaking of relaxing uterine muscles, yes, that is part. It's part of the way that we get relief. But the way that I actually formulated Cramp Aid is to attack this whole period pain causing cascade from a few different angles. So the first thing I did was I added anti-inflammatory nutrients and herbs that are going to reduce inflammation before the prostaglandins even become like too much of an issue, right? Like the prostaglandins are causing inflammation. It's going to help, take some of that inflammation down so you don't have too many prostaglandins to begin with. Then I added some antispasmodic herbs so that when the prostaglandins, that you do produce to start your period, when those start, making these muscles freak out, it prevents them from, over contracting or, spazzing out. And then suffocate. Well, yes. And then I added nutrients that help with circulation and the integrity of blood vessels to help drive more oxygen to the uterine muscles so that they don't suffocate at all. So that is how we're personally tackling this issue of period pain with our product. But, back to what your doctor said about how you just kind of have a, faulty uterus, like your muscles are like too forceful or you're just producing too much prostaglandins. And what Robin asked, like, is this related to your fertility? There are a lot of different things that would cause one to make too many prostaglandins. Some of them are, based on things that you can control, and some of them aren't necessarily based on things that you can control. One of them, like I said, the type of prostaglandins that causes period pain are pro-inflammatory. So if you have some inflammatory habits, like if you are stressed or not sleeping enough or not getting enough nutrition, or if you're smoking and drinking or that kind of thing, that could all kind of manifest as overproducing prostaglandins.
All
And
the
if
fun
those all
things in life.
yeah, and if it, you hear that list and you're like, oh, so just like basic general health advice, yeah, totally. Like the menstrual cycle is referred to as kind of the fifth vital sign, and that it is just kind of a reflection of our overall health status, which all, to the same logic, all of the things that would kind of cause your menstrual cycle to be problematic also just cause your general health, risks as well. So the, one way in which we can kind of support our menstrual health is to just cultivate some healthy habits. Yeah. Just kind of prioritize our health in that way. Another thing that might also cause you to produce too many prostaglandins is a hormonal ratio that is not ideal. So after ovulation, I mentioned that you start making progesterone, right? And progesterone is, this is a simplistic way of putting it, but let's call it like the good hormone, right? And progesterone, it's a pro-pregnancy hormone. So it's doing a lot of really beneficial stuff, like reducing inflammation and calming you down and reducing anxiety and regulating your stress response, giving you this like nice glow to your skin and helping to build muscle and bones and all of the things that you would need to prepare for a potential pregnancy. Estrogen is another hormone that's produced after ovulation. And estrogen, is kind of is more of like a mixed bag of a hormone. It doesn't have as many benefits as progesterone, but if we didn't have any estrogen, that also wouldn't be good either. So it's kind of like your friend that like you can take in small doses. So, gosh, where was I even going?
I have a few of those friends.
Oh yes. So progesterone and estrogen are kind of like the yin to each other's yang, right? Estrogen will thicken the uterine lining, whereas progesterone kind of prevents it to becoming too thick, so as to not like stifle this fertilized egg. So if you are producing not enough progesterone and too much estrogen, or if you didn't ovulate that cycle, which is very possible and happens about a quarter of the time for most women, then you won't produce any progesterone at all. And when you don't produce progesterone, or you produce not enough progesterone, estrogen is left to thicken the uterine lining unchecked. And the thicker the uterine lining, the more prostaglandins you'll make in an attempt to detach this ultra thick uterine lining.
So we got to get rid of those prostaglandins. Interesting.
Just some of them, not all of them.
Not all of them. Not all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the good news is there's hope, and it's in trying your product.
Well, and I like that you're doing it from a holistic point of view. It's like you're talking herbs. You're not, it's like I noticed you're saying pain reliever and not a particular type, but I would say, so I'm not just going to the Aleve every 5 seconds, because it's like I don't love to do that. I mean, that stuff is hard on your liver. It's hard on your body. And it's totally, just nice to look for relief that isn't, chemical or harsh, or, I mean, I'm not sure what the right word is, on your body.
Sure. And especially, considering a lot of folks are, they need to take these painkillers by the handful every single month. And that really takes a toll. The FDA really flat out says, like, these are not for long-term use. They come with serious, potentially really serious side effects if they're taken that way. And I think that a lot of people overlook the menstrual cycle as long-term use because you're only using it a week out of the month. However, you're using it for your 35-year reproductive life.
Right.
And,
or like 15 weeks out of the year. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, like that sounds like long-term use to me.
Yeah.
And, I was just kind of talking to my uncle, obviously doesn't have a period, but he was saying how he's always gotten these terrible migraines his entire life. And now that he's in his 60s, he developed a stomach ulcer from taking all this ibuprofen.
Yeah.
And now we can't take ibuprofen anymore.
Yeah.
And so when you think about, even healthy aging and how we're managing our period pain when we're young and healthy, how that impacts the health risks that we might face later on. Like if I knew that, I'm going to need more ibuprofen when I'm old, when just kind of like everything kind of hurts, and not being able to take that because I overused it for my period pain in my 20s and 30s. I mean, I would definitely think twice about that.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know.
And I think it's really great for our audience in particular to think about your period as a, I like that thing that you said about it being like what'd you say, the fifth?
Fifth vital sign.
Yeah. Like for, to kind of look at your period health before you start down the path of the scientific route of creating a family. So just kind of like think about, that could be a little indicator that you may not have a smooth path. It may not be the case, but it's just like you should be checking in on your health. And that's just another thing for us to check when we're paying out of our pockets.
Yes.
Totally.
And also what's interesting for me, I didn't have period pain until after I got pregnant. Until my infertility. And so thinking about that when you're going down your scientific path too.
Yeah.
You don't know the toll that this can take on your body. And I certainly didn't think about it when I was taking all those fertility drugs. But I feel like that might have, I don't have scientific proof, but I don't know where else this pain came from. So
well, I know that, periods after pregnancy can be a totally mixed bag. And, some people.
Mine got better again.
Yeah,
sorry.
And that happens.
Mine got easier, lighter.
Like a miracle of childbirth. Your period problems went away.
You don't sound happy for me, but that's okay.
No, I am.
Well, I'm happy. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, and then some people deal with worsened symptoms or like new PMS symptoms that they never had before.
I definitely think your body changes and shifts. Like, your hormone levels shift because it's like your hair changes. You're like, there's just so many things that feel different after childbirth in your body.
True.
Yes.
So
in much the same way that you are changing throughout the month. Every month.
Right.
There you go.
True. So it's really just good to know that you're out there, your products are out there. And for anybody who has questions about their fertility or who wants to better their cycle for fertility.
Or make connections. Or just ease some symptoms. Check
Dulune out. Where can you tell everybody where you can find Dulune and what's the
deal? So you could find us on our website. It is dulune.co. We're a .co, not a .com. We're spelled like Claire Dulune, so DELUNE. You can also find us on Instagram. We're at Dulune Care. We just started a TikTok. If you want to support us, be one of our first TikTok followers. We're also at Dulune Care on TikTok.
Love it. Well, thank you for taking the time to try to help fix Jamie and the world. We appreciate you.
Of course. I appreciate you both. Thank you so much for having me on. This was such a delight.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. All right. You did prayer hands. I
did. Plus,
that was awesome.
We appreciate it. That was great.
I meant to say to her that I kept wanting to call her Claire because Courtney and they both start with a C and the Dulune.
I know, me too.
And I kept it in my head, and then I was like, wait, no, it's Courtney. It's Courtney.
I wanted to call her Claire so many times too. How funny is that? But I'm excited for this product. And
Jamie, next time you get your period, please have the product with you so that it fixes you because it's critical.
I brought the other one. I brought the whole bottle, and I just didn't bring the other. I'm so annoyed at myself. And I told myself before I packed, don't forget that. I even put it on my list, but somehow I didn't check off that thing on the list. So,
oh my God, hilarious. Well, another ovaries talk in the bag, Jamie.
In the bag. I mean, we hope you enjoyed it.
Yes. And if you feel compelled to go out and rate and review our podcast, there's a new rating system on Spotify. It's like kind of hard to find, but if you go to the homepage of Ovaries Talk, you can follow it. And then there's also like a little rating star. So I don't know if you haven't done that on Spotify, go ahead. Rate us on Spotify. Rate our book. Do all the things.
A good one, though. A good one. Yeah.
Well, it's 5 stars. 5 stars.
Always 5. Always 5. It's been really wonderful being with you all again. And we hope you're having a wonderful week.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of your vacation, Jamie.
Thank you. Welcome back home
with the dog.
Robin.
All right.
It's smelling over there. Oh, bad.
Not yet. Soon.
Yeah.
Ovaries.
Right. Ovaries out.
Out. Out. Out. Out.